ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Sober Sitdown. This is your host, Scotty Stutch. With me always is my boy out in Long Island, Ant Vallone. What's up, Ant?
What's up, brother?
Tonight we have a new acquaintance of mine. I was involved in a project with him a couple nights ago for the new movie coming out called The Mob King. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. William Steele.
What's going on, Scotty? Anthony, nice to be
What's
here.
up, man?
All right.
A lot about you.
I can't even properly announce all your accomplishments in one sentence, William. William's an author. He's on TV series. He's done it all. We're going to go all over it tonight. So we're going to get to know Mr. William Steele, and hope you guys enjoy. So William, if you want to kick it off, let's start in the early years. You said you were born and raised in Brooklyn.
Yep, born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, and middle class family, and went to Kingsborough Community College, and went into real estate, and then I always liked James Bond and Mission Impossible type movies, so I always wanted to be that guy that can get in and out of anything, and do anything, and I had different ideas for this, but I went to attend a school in Manhattan in those years. It was the New York School of Locksmithing. So I went there, I took the locksmithing and alarm class, did really well with it. Well, a few years later, a friend of mine died. I tried some coke. I got off on a bad thing. You know how that goes. And so I ended up using those skills to do multi-million-dollar burglaries all across the country. So I was a pretty prolific jewel and art thief for many years. And then I was living in South Florida, and I got involved with cocaine trafficking, kilos and guns from South Florida to New York. Anyway, so a couple of trips in and out of jail, prison, I didn't really change, I just kept doing the same damn thing over and over, and a lot of guys who live that life, you know how it is when you're on, like I don't drink, but I had this like serious problem with coke. No matter how much coke I had was never enough and all that. So I was living that life. And so finally I got, a lot of time for like nonviolent crimes. And I ended up escaping during that sentence, and I got another 15 years tacked on the back of that. So the escape landed me on, because of my skills, on America's Most Wanted profile. They never put the thing on the air, but I was on their website. And so after that, while I was in prison during those years, I became a law clerk. I started taking a bunch of college courses, and I hooked up with some good mentors on the outside that knew about writing and publicity and this and that. And I was putting together a book about my life. And there's a lot of interest in telling some of my stories and all that. And some of the people I met along the way, like I knew Robert Durst, I knew, Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, all the people out in California. And so these people have since become very infamous. Well, I knew Ghislaine Maxwell very, very well. And so when Robert Durst, when I was still in prison, blew up in the media, my co-author on the first book, Sex and a Serial Killer, I wrote this in prison.
Shit.
My bizarre times with Robert Durst. He said, look, we're writing about your life, but that was going to be a chapter. Now that he's in the Jinx and HBO and all this stuff is blowing up in the media, why don't you put out your book, one book just about your experiences with him? So that one came out really to help the victims, because now in my life after prison, I'm about helping victims. I'm about helping people that are wrongfully incarcerated. We work with different lawyers. I'm in touch with a lot of guys that are incarcerated. And we try to work with guys at the Innocence Projects. They're too busy to help, because the Innocence Projects usually take death penalty cases, life sentence cases, serious time, and try to help the most serious cases. Well, there's a lot of guys with 50-year sentences and 30-year sentences that are innocent, but nobody will help them.
Yeah, that's like a new thing now. I don't mean to interrupt you. Right. A lot of false imprisonment. That's a big thing now, getting reversed. That's good that you're doing that. I commend you for that, brother.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
That's a good thing you're doing.
A lot of it's coming to light. It's usually a lot of these cases, especially in the same jurisdictions, are oftentimes tied to these same detectives. Like there was a case in Chicago. Yeah. A lot of cases were tied to certain detectives. South Florida, same thing. And it gives a bad name. Like, I support law enforcement now, before, I avoided law enforcement. Yeah. But now it's like, what? They serve a purpose. And people shouldn't be out there hurting them or doing all this nonsense. But at the same time, the dirty ones made it bad for everybody, because now look, society is so turned on police because now they're caught on camera all the time when they're doing something.
Exactly.
So guys like us who have been through it with cops, possibly, I don't know you guys' backstory yet, but I was beat up by the cops. I was run over by a police car. I was pepper sprayed for no reason. If that happened today and was caught on camera, I would have never went to prison, and they'd be locked up. But so the bad ones ruin it for the good ones, and now the good ones are paying the price, and nobody wants to be a police officer. But let me back up a little. So before I got released about a year ago from 18 years for nonviolent crimes, I was suddenly offered I was a law clerk in prison. I was on the offender representative committee, helping people navigate grievance issues with the administration, trying to find resolution to avoid litigation. And so I was always involved in helping people anyway. And so an opportunity for a show on A&E Network that talks about recidivism and how when people come out of prison, a lot of things lead to reoffending, whether it's substance abuse, alcoholism. And one of the big things in this country is lack of adequate housing upon release. A lot of guys don't have family to go back to. So in my case, my family in New York, they took off with a lot of money belonging to me through an inheritance. And so there's a lot of bad blood. I didn't want to go around my family. I just said, you know what? I'm going to make my own life, and they can keep the 800 grand that they disappeared with. And I'm going to do my own thing. And I was going to do it anyway with my books and, trying to help people build up a true crime channel. And I was offered a show like literally the month before I got released.
That's crazy.
And this is the show.
Inmate to Roommate.
Yep. That's airing right now. I think the first or second episode just aired, right, William?
I think we're up to like 6 by now, 6 or 7. But so incredibly, it was made by the same production company, Sharp Entertainment. Shout out to Sharp and Joe Ruzer, my producer, that made Love After Lockup, 90 Day Fiancé, the same company. However, this is on what, in my opinion, is a far superior network, A&E. It's a more serious network. And it was supposed to be taking a look at what happens when a prisoner gets out and lives with a family he didn't know before he went in, people he's not related to. And so the struggles of getting on your feet after you come out of prison. So in my case, it was a pen pal who is a Seventh-day Adventist couple. I'm not Seventh-day Adventist. I'm a Christian. I'm not perfect, but these people were really, really like overbearing. And so it shows the dynamic in the house. Here I'm from Brooklyn and I'm living with some people from the Midwest, surrounded by cornfields and factories.
Totally different.
Right. I'm not used to any of this. So the nicest thing really around here, there's a few nice towns and all that, but it's so rural and everything. Like this place shuts down at night. You go out at night, like past 9 o'clock. It's a blue collar town, a lot of nice people, but it's like nobody on the streets at all. Nothing open. You can't go get something to eat like New York. So, but you have Notre Dame University a few miles from here. So I spend time over there.
That's cool.
Yeah, filming. And so we're filming that show around here. And so I can't really give away a lot of spoilers, but real fast forward is that this show in its second week out of 150 shows in the ratings became the number 13 show. It shot up to number 13. And now if you take away football related shows, which is seasonal, and hurricane coverage of Florida hurricane, you take away those couple of shows, the show is now in number 5. On the
fantastic.
Show,
that's crazy.
If you see the show every Thursday night at 10 o'clock, I'm Bill on the show. So you'll see Bill and William Steele, but Bill, and you'll see on the fan pages, Facebook fan pages, if you go to Inmate to Roommate fan pages or A&E, this and that, there's 3 of them, a Savage page, and then there's different pages. I didn't know anything about social media or cell phones or, anything, a few months ago. Now I'm learning it all fast. But all these sites, Reddit even, and Twitter, on Inmate to Roommate, 99% of the discussions about me. We want 2 hours of Bill. Oh my God, Bill makes the show. He's so funny. These people are such a contrast between me and these people. And, I didn't expect it to go south. I didn't wish that for anybody, but it did. The lady I was writing was not the lady I moved in with. She completely changed, tried to convert me. I told them I wasn't going to convert. And you got to watch the show to see how it plays out, because evidently she had a crush on me that I wasn't aware of. And, she's mad I have a girlfriend, so.
That's when all the problems start.
Right. So that's the quick story. So then since I got out, I knew Ghislaine Maxwell. I had a relationship with her and one of her adult assistants a couple of times. We fooled around, But so I was at the Palm Beach Mansion a few times years and years ago. So I decided to write a book because she started hitting the media to support the victims, all the people they victimized, the young girls, to really put out my experiences with her. And so I wrote this book. It's called Ghislaine, Sensational and Impure by William Steele.
By William Steele.
That's a picture of her massaging somebody's foot on one of the jets.
Wow.
So those are all available on Amazon. I have a true crime channel up now on YouTube, official William Steele. And we have some videos up, and it's starting to blow up now, especially with the show. And I just launched the podcast a few days ago, and I'm starting to do movie and book reviews for other people. Like the first one was Mob King, which Scotty and I did with a panel of other people. Shout out to Chip and Stax, Ciro DiPazio. Who else was on with us?
Hollywood Wade from Crime and Entertainment.
Yeah, we call him Chip. Hollywood Wade, yep.
Adrian Martinez from Invest in Yourself.
Yep.
Me and you and Bill Stax.
When you got out, like, how did all this start? Like, you started before you got out. How do you do all this?
Well, if you have a story to tell, a backstory, I say just start writing and then go back and fix it up, add stuff, clean it up, work on the grammar later. But just bang out your notes. And it was basically a stack of, in prison, you don't have much, but, this typing paper around. So I would just longhand everything, like basic overview of like, okay, this happened. And then before I got out, about 2 years before I got out, we started getting these tablets. We could write on them and stuff like that. So 6,000 characters, I would flesh in my key points, like on this, this period, this happened, and it's too much to put on paper. So I would just flesh it out there and send out emails, 6,000 characters at a time.
Holy shit.
Yeah, so it took forever. It took forever. My thumb was about to fall off, but I was sending it to a lady out in California who was an A-list screenwriter, Bettina Gilois, and she was setting me up to get into a drama series and all that with my story and all that. And the Durst book, because she did a screenplay with Queen Latifah and was nominated for an Emmy for the movie Bessie. And then she was did another movie on Lifetime about Robert Durst. So she said, look, we'll do one with yours too. I know all the right people. We're going to get it produced. So she died in the middle of working with me, and I ended up working with other people.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, she died of cancer. So it was just before I got out. And, when I got out, we were in a pandemic of, this COVID. And we were locked down for a long time. I started gaining a lot of weight right before my release. And here I am. I'm in prison for all these years for a nonviolent offense, doing everything right, trying to stay out of trouble. And next thing you know, every day, like I'm thinking I'm dying because, the guys in prison, a lot of them are careless. Nobody's wearing a mask. Nobody's washing their hands, sanitizing. Very few of us were really trying to, be careful. Yeah. And so I had a cellmate that was constantly drinking and smoking weed, a young dude, and I kept trying to counsel with him, man, just as a fellow human being, even though we didn't see eye to eye about anything. I said, look, man, you're just going to spend your life coming in and out if you don't stop now. If you're doing it in here, you're going to do it on the street and keep coming back. And he wouldn't listen, F this, F that, and, all this negativity. So, but I say that to say this. So he'd be out in the day room, like passing wine around with his buddies. They're drinking off the same thing. They're passing joints around. And I'm like, man, you're going to bring COVID into this room.
Yes.
I just did 18 years, man. And with the guys dying all around us, the gym is full of people dying. The classrooms have beds in it, people sick and get ready to go to the hospital. And they were big, dudes, man, that you thought were healthy as hell, man. They're
dropping like flies, right?
Back then, yeah. So I was like, man, I'm never going to get out of here. I did all this time. I'm going to die of COVID, So I would
be the same way.
So that's what I went through. I know the whole world suffered at that time. I don't try to glamorize my past by telling my stories, but every now and then you tell your past, maybe you light up because the memories of certain things at the time are good, but the consequences. So now I try to tell these stories and always put a message of redemption or changing your life or, who can I help next? If you need help, reach out, if I could, help you personally or connect you with resources or whatever. But, it's a lot better than looking over your shoulder, wondering when the cops or the feds or anybody looking for you.
Yeah, that's no way to live. That's a fucked up way to live.
Yes. So it's I lost a lot, man. My mother passed away when I was in prison. My sisters are, to turn their back on me and do what they did. So, everybody, like these fan pages, you'll have a few little people sneaking in there. You're nothing but a con artist. You're this.
Yeah, it's them.
Such haters. And I'm the kind of person.
Such haters.
Right. Where I'm from, you deal with people straight up. I can read you and I don't mess with you no more. If you keep it up, then it's going to be a problem. On the internet, you don't know who a lot of these people are.
No.
So I'm tempted to F you, but like everybody, the network I work for, A&E Network, they give me guidelines, and my girl does, and my friends do. They're like, listen, don't respond to these people. They could care less if you live or die, and they would love to say, I told you so. So don't let them piss you off, And so I backed off responding to the haters and all that, but I love engaging with my fans because there's like thousands of people talking about me all of a sudden, the last few weeks. So I'm like, hey, I appreciate your encouragement, and it becomes emotional, man. It's really a good feeling to have gone through so much crap that I brought on my own life and the people that I love, and to now, be, paying it forward and trying to do good for people, and people are seeing that and starting to appreciate it.
That's amazing, bro. That's just
thank you.
You did all that time, and then to get out and just have all this good stuff thrown at you, it's like, wow.
William, a couple things that I wanted to go over that you just discussed, some things that not many people talk about is that word recidivism. The first time I mentioned that word was I was talking to my dad, and I was having a conversation with him, and I mentioned the word recidivism, and he didn't know what it meant, and he was laughing at me in the car, and I'm like, what's so funny? I go, it's a word. And he's like, you don't even know what that word means. I go, I don't think you do either. I'm like, because you're laughing. You think it's I said, recidivism is, it's actually something that's someone who goes in and out of prison, and it's almost like getting sucked in quicksand. They just can't stay out. Right. So once they get involved in that cycle, that's like a terminology for recidivism. I don't know the exact Webster's dictionary definition off the top of my head, but it's someone who can't stay out of prison. They go in once, then it's a vicious cycle. It's almost like addiction.
Right.
And I'm glad you brought that word up, because not many people say that word and, know, because they don't know the terminology. One thing I did like that you said was breaking that when you were talking about the guy who was bringing stuff in and you were worried about him passing the COVID, like changing the mindset of those people that are younger, and you're like, you're just going to keep coming back in here, and you're just going to keep repeating yourself and stuff like that. It's nice to, inspire others like that, because I don't think they understand. Going back to more stuff that you talked about was it's hard for people to get opportunities and chances once they're whacked with felony charges, high-end misdemeanors. They more or less think my life's over. I'm not gonna be able to get a good job. I'm gonna be stuck working minimum wage the rest of my life. And they need more people like you out there preaching that anything's possible, no matter how much time you did. And that's here on the Sober Sit Down. That's the type of content that I like to promote. Is it's never too late to make a change. I don't want to get in depth with a story, but my father had a business for 37 years. He just got taken away last year. He did some federal time for a nonviolent offense, tax related issues. And he ended up having to do a little less than a year, but changed his whole life around. He had to wear he's still wearing an ankle bracelet right now. And he's 61 years old, and he changed his whole life around at 61 after being in business for himself for 37 years. So that was a large inspiration of me not making the content on here just strictly substance or alcohol related. It's in relations to anything. The fact that you're inspiring people that after 18 years of time, it's never too late to make those changes in your life, to, start over and do things positively. Like you stay busy with writing, doing your show. There's tons of things you can do. And most of it, of which people don't realize, is it all comes from these cell phones. Like you can create an app, you can create a YouTube page. there's so much you can do nowadays from the palm of your hand, from a telephone. If you just take the time and learn a little bit of modern technology, it's amazing. There's no limitations. There's so many good side hustles out there that are actually legitimate to get you on your feet. Like when I had to start over 5 years ago, when I closed down my business, my addiction took over. I had to restart myself. There were so many things I did as side hustles the right way and the legal way. Uber, DoorDash, Grubhub. You literally can go on an app on your phone, flip it on whenever you have extra time on your hands, and go make a couple extra dollars for yourself. There's many opportunities out there that, just because you have felony charges and stuff like that, it's not too late to start over.
Right.
And I think more of people like you inspiring people, like, look at the position. Yep. It's
no comment. I had to try to learn in the neighborhood around here.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? And nobody can take anything away from anybody. If you're out making money, no matter how you have to make it, as long as it's legitimate, I mean, have at it. I mean, there's people out there that for a couple extra $100 a week donate plasma. I mean, some people view it as frowned upon, but you know what? You're helping people and it's extra money. The people that I have no empathy for is the people that don't even try. They're just bums, and they're like parasites. They leech off society, want everything handed to them in the high sense of entitlement, giving up before they even try.
Right. In my case, a lot of the fans are so supportive, and they understand the struggle, getting on their feet. They have common sense and compassion, but there's other ones who are like, you need to get out of that house and get a job and this and that. Well, guess what? I had like 3 jobs as soon as I got out. It wasn't to these people's liking, because they wanted me to work. This is the RV capital of the world right here, Elkhart, Indiana. They wanted me to work in an RV factory. That's what they're all over the place.
Yeah, 9 to 5.
Yes, and God bless the guys that do that. But I'm 50-something years old. I have a few little restrictions, some medical stuff, and I'm not trying to work in a factory.
Yeah, it's hard.
I have aspirations. I write books. I tell my stories, my experiences to help people. Whether I become a big success or not, that's just what I'm going to do. And, then plus I was working in public relations too, helping other people, get their dreams out there. So I learned a lot about that industry because the guy that introduced me to my girl, he used to be vice president of NBC. So he now has a public relations firm in South Florida, Tom Madden from Transmedia Group in Boca Raton. So Tom and I, he paid for one of my college courses when I was in prison. He just believed in me and that I had a heart to change, or he would have never did that.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I just came back from Florida a few weeks ago, stayed down there about 10 days, and I've lived in Florida for years, But, I don't know if you guys are doing all this 12-step stuff and all that. I did that years ago. But, returning to old places, people, places, things, right?
So, I always say that.
So I go to South Florida. I'm not going to lie. There's a lot of memories of running dope up by I-95 or on Amtrak back in the 80s and 90s, or, getting high or locked in the hotel room, getting high, for a week, whatever. And again, I'm not trying to glamorize it, but that's a crazy life, because it just spiraled out of control. You isolate yourself from everybody who loves you. They're worried sick about you all the time. My sister used to tell me, Billy, I'm glad when they lock you up. Every time you go to jail, I don't have to worry about getting a call in the middle of the night that you were killed doing a crime or you OD'd or something, And I never took it serious back then, but I look back and I'll say, man, I got to get emotional. But that just really sucked to worry about your loved one like that. They're going out of the house and they're screwing up, man. You don't know if they're coming home or not.
My sister's doing that right now, Bill. I got to worry about her going out. She's on the streets. Her boyfriend's a fucking dickhead. He puts his hands on her. And as soon as I go to put my hands on him, he's calling the cops.
They want to live like a tough guy. Yeah, they want to live like a tough guy putting their hands on a woman. And he's and then they're going to call the cops. He's threatening me. Or,
he's a fucking pussy. It's a new day and age now.
That's just what it is. It's lack of consequences, and we live in this society that people think they can do what they want. And I grew up, I really didn't have a lot of friends my age. I grew up in my dad's bar, so I was raised with my dad's friends. Like,
Yeah, me and you had older friends.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I idolized the guys my dad rolled with. Like they were
Uh-huh.
like I liked hanging out with my dad's crew rather than hanging out with kids my own age.
Scotty,
And I
Scotty,
grew up
where did you grow up? I don't know your.
I live like 20 miles north of the Poconos, which is an hour and a half north of Philly. I'm an hour and 45 minutes west of New York. So I'm like right above the Pocono area in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
But yeah, I grew up in the bar scene and stuff like that. And like, like when I was like growing up and like, I'm not like trying to promote toxic masculinity or anything like that, but like, a lot less people ran their mouth when there was consequence involved. Like back in the day, like somebody said something slick to somebody in the bar, like, like one shot, somebody get cracked and they'd shut their mouth for a while.
Exactly.
And nobody called the cops. Nobody said anything. I mean, I watched a guy when I was like 12 years old get beaten with a pool stick because he was running his mouth in the middle of the bar. And it's like, like nobody said anything. They're like, well, he fucking deserved it. You know what I mean? Like he shot his mouth off. Nowadays, people don't think you're going to react. And then when you react, it's like, they poke you,
bring their phones out.
You're talking about those people like that troll you on the internet and stuff like that. They wouldn't talk like that to you in person. And if they did and you reacted, they'd be like, why are you resorting to violence? Why are you getting violence? Because you pushed me to that point. That's how stuff works.
Right. But then the law would say, we don't care who pushes you, you still shouldn't have did such and such. I call them like in prison, you say cell gangsters, people that run their mouth from behind the door, and the door opens, they're scared to death, but I wasn't that kind of tough guy where, I know people. I grew up in New York. I know people. Like the people I was living with, the guy, like we had all these understandings and agreements, very respectful. We sat down when I first got out of prison. We worked out the few little nuances. And there's not one thing that he agreed to that he didn't violate. Not even one. Went gossiping to people about me that even wasn't true. Went running to parole, went running to this one, running to that one, thinking I'd never find out. Everybody's like, man, all he does is, complain about you use too much toilet paper. I'm like,
what a fucking dick.
I'm home all day. You guys work. I just got out of prison a week ago.
Yeah. What do you want me to do?
They was keeping a toilet paper ledger. That's on the show. It's really, I'm kind of embarrassed for these people. You got to see the show to know what I'm talking about. But Inmate to Roommate, you guys got to check it out.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm definitely going to check it out. And he's probably saying, Bill did something with himself. Fuck him now.
I told him 100 times, man, I'm going to have a focus on one God and being a success the right way and helping people. And they just want to keep dragging me down and try to convert me to this church. And, God bless him. I'm friends with the pastor still from the church, but he knows I'm not converting, especially not after that experience. So,
William, I got to ask you, how did you get acquainted with Ghislaine Maxwell and what's his name? The guy that allegedly Robert
Durst.
Epstein.
Well, let's just say years ago, I was doing a lot of ripping and running. I was on the run. I would always go if I went somewhere, I either had a lot of dope on me, jewelry, guns, and I always have a gun with a silencer. So because I was very much a loner, because I was running kilos and I was stealing a lot of jewelry, if I popped my briefcase open, because I was always very clean cut, and a jeweler or somebody seeing a gun, a silencer, police scan, lockpicks, they're like, whoa, I better not screw Bill over because, there's going to be consequences. So I put that image out there like that. And over time, people thought that I was that guy, that I would kill somebody, but I wouldn't and I haven't. But I did want to keep that appearance up back in those days. And so I was at a fence in Palm Beach on Worth Avenue. And it was a diamond salon, I was there. And I look over the other side while I'm waiting for my fence to look at my jewelry. Now I'm wanted. I got a gun. I got stolen jewelry. I'm not in a position to be calling cops. I see another guy waiting to get waited on also. And his back's to me, and he's got his hand down the back of this young girl's shorts. He didn't realize I was there. And so I was like, made a noise, cleared my throat. He realized I was there. They stopped. And the girl looked like a doppelganger for the taxi driver era Jodie Foster, young girl, about 14 maybe.
Oh.
So it was really inappropriate. And so I told my friend, I said, they left, and I told my friend, hey, I'm going to go grab lunch. I'll come back. I got some jewelry I want to show you. And I left, and I followed this guy. He turned out to be Jeffrey Epstein, because I did.
What?
Yeah, I confronted him. So he talked his way out of it, and I couldn't really call the cops, and I couldn't get him alone to do what I wanted to do to this guy. But he was claiming that that's his niece, and she said the same thing. And, they were playing around, and there was nothing inappropriate going on. So that's how I met him. There's a lot more that comes out, about how that happened in the book. So
that's a good preview, though, to announce like what's in the book. That's gonna engage a lot of. I'm definitely gonna order that book and definitely read the rest of it.
So
I gotta ask you. Me and Ant talk a lot on our show about when we do our segment, late night last call with me and Ant. When I bring him in on the sober sit down, we've been talking to a lot of guests about government conspiracies. And what do you think about the hanging for Epstein? If you don't want to answer that, you don't have to.
I have a story that was told to me directly by Ghislaine Maxwell, detailed in this book, precisely about a scenario like that before he ever died.
Wow.
So, and her desperation as long ago as 2005 to separate herself from him. I was on the run, was the last time I saw her, and you have to, I can't give away any spoilers to the book, but yeah, so we actually had a conversation about that, and that something had to be done about him, because she was feeling that Jeffrey was going to be the death of her. And we kind of developed a friendship, and we had threesomes and stuff like that, but with adult women, like assistants, me, Ghislaine, and another woman, mostly. Yeah, so she confided a few things. They're spelled out in the book, and I appreciate you letting me talk about it on here. A lot of it's very salacious to put out over YouTube. So
I don't think he's dead. Scott thinks the same. That guy had too much money, man. They put him somewhere. He's in the witness protection program. I'm thinking, I don't know. Me and my doctor talk about it a lot. They didn't kill that guy's not dead.
Maybe he's with Elvis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Tupac and
Tupac, Elvis, and what the hell's the other one? Bruce Lee and
now Coolio died. And you know what I found out, Bill and Scott? He was coming out with a book about pedophilia in Hollywood.
Oh, real convenient.
Coolio just died. Yeah. I was like, what'd he die of? I was asking my doctor. And my doctor goes, he was coming out with a docu-series of Hollywood pedophiles. And they fucking, I don't want to be in harm's way, so I'm gonna stop there. But he was coming out with something, and he's dead now.
Well, I'm glad you're talking about that, Anthony, because I was gonna take it back to originally, William. You spoke about maybe the first 5 or 10 minutes. We were talking about you were talking about people that didn't deserve to be incarcerated and people that you were fighting for people to get that second chance and people that were innocent and to get out. And we were talking about police brutality and just all different things. And what I want to say about all that is I feel like the thing that isn't punishable like it is. And your crimes that you committed were nonviolent offenses, white collar crimes. I seen my dad, go through a rough time, losing his business and stuff. How he had to over a little bit of, tax stuff and stuff like that. And I'll tell you, I think that these sex offenders just get off way too easily.
Oh yeah.
I've seen the inside of county and state prisons, and these sex offenders, they get special treatment when they're in there. They don't put them in Gen Pop, which rightfully so. I mean, they'll die or something will happen to them if they put them in Gen Pop. But I just think that their sentences are too light. They don't. I mean, I know it's inhumane to physically, have them physically tortured or anything like that. But what I don't like and what I like that you talk about is victim related stuff. A sex offender can go in and do a 10-year bid and put them with other sex offenders. They plot their next sting when they get out. They're not going to change. It's a mental illness. If they did it once, they're going to do it again. What people don't talk about is like, what about that 8-year-old little girl or that 8-year-old little boy that was victimized by that sex offender? They're scarred for life now. They're dealing with a life sentence, not the actual sex offender. The child that was victimized is the one really with the life sentence. And it eats me apart because, in my opinion, and I don't care if people say this is inhumane, there's no room in the world for them. They all need to go.
Right. Well, we can't officially condone violence, so there you go. But and especially a lot of my personal views I have to keep to myself with having a show on a major network. But we all agree that nobody should be hurting a kid. And you read my books, it's really geared to the victims, exposing these people from the little inside glimpses I got being around them to help the victims. And the subplot to my books, my true crime books about my life and people I knew, were how I believe God got me through all these experiences to where I am today. So there's things that can be done, but I guess I would speculate, maybe I'm kind of thinking out loud here, maybe they're getting all these deals because they know if they give them too much time, they'll tell on 30 other pedophiles, and some of them might be judges and congressmen and this and that, because they're all, listen, when I was doing,
we don't think
I was doing it. I use this as a prop, right? It's like a diamond prop, for some of my shows, because I was a jewel thief, right? So when I was hitting these, these big multi-million-dollar mansions all over the country, some of the weirdest stuff I would find in these homes of these wealthy people. I mean, just like really weird, everything from videos to this, that. And it seems like the wealthier they are, the more skeletons they have in their closet about these type of things. I guess they have the money to carry out more of their fantasies or their sickness or whatever it is. So
they had that's interesting. The people that you booked, so they had weird shit in their bedrooms. You mean in their closet?
I've seen some weird stuff and videos and stuff in safes that you're like, like I said, I gotta keep what I say really clean right now. So
yeah, of course.
Yeah, I mean, William, you don't have to answer this indirectly. I'm just more or less going to make a statement, and you can just shake your head or nod your head. But I mean, not even to get even on the subject, but because of the position you're in. But when you were rolling with, I mean, you've said you've been in the company of Maxwell. I'm sure being in South Florida and stuff like that, you might have, been in the company of Maxwell and maybe some of those parts of. I'm sure there's some prominent people that you've seen in passing associated with that. I mean, it's all probably right in your book.
You're very buying that book, Bill.
You're very perceptive. I name names in the book. So,
wow, really?
Yeah.
You should make a documentary out of the book.
Yeah.
When Epstein, was made it a point to make sure there was a guy with a gun there, because I had pulled the gun on him the first time I met him to try to intimidate him. And anyway, so I digress. So fast forward, he had a chance to trap me, and he did. And I saw something with Prince Andrew, and he said that Andrew he referred to Prince Andrew as his Super Bowl trophy. So because he had him, and he had him really, really horribly compromised.
That guy was sick, man. Prince Andrew, that guy's a fucking wow.
I don't want to name drop anybody, but I think there was that whole thing going on. I didn't do enough research into it, but I know there's a lot of wacky shit that goes on out in Hollywood. And I'm an East Coast guy, so I really don't pay no mind to Cali. I think that Cali is just a whole nother entity. The stuff that goes on in Hollywood, I think that there's an elite society out there. I think if you look at most childhood stars or childhood musicians and stuff like that, I mean, look at them all now, 20 years later, 30 years later. I mean, they're all fucked up. I mean, Macaulay Culkin, Justin Bieber, Corey Feldman, they're all walking around all fucked up. Something happened to them out there. And I don't care what people say. Oh, it's money. It's money. No, it's not money. something happened to those kids that were success stories, you know, ones that, you know, were either childhood actors or childhood singers. Like, and I'm not going to sit here and put them into the ground, but they're definitely not walking around normal. I'll tell you that much.
That Amanda Bynes, she was such a pretty little, you know, little actress. She grew up, she became a monster. Lindsay Lohan, she lived in the same town as me, Merrick, New York. I went to her house a couple of times. To her brother, he used to have parties. She was never there, but
Sunrise Highway go right through there.
You know, what were you saying, Bill?
Sunrise Highway right there. That's
yeah.
I know where
you're at. Yeah, man. I went to a couple of parties at Lindsay Lohan's house. Her brother's a real dick. He thinks who the fuck he is. So is the mom, and the father he's a dick too. But you know, Scott's right. They had to have been. They've got to have been.
Well, they say the Hollywood, and not to cut you off, but they say like the Hollywood directors. They say like the producers and the directors to these big companies, and what they do is they hire these agents. They say to like go out to these people that have like good looking kids, and they come from nothing. If you do your background research, most of these people that were child stars and stuff like that, their families were dirt poor. They like the Macaulay Culkin and the Culkins and all that. They were dirt poor before they went to Hollywood, and people call it a success story, but they say like there's like child sex trafficking proposals to these families. Hey, you want your kid to be in the limelight? Well, it comes with a price. And that's where I believe the elitists come in. And there's a lot of sick shit that goes on in Hollywood. And I think, I mean, I'm from Pennsylvania. I don't know shit about Hollywood, but I do know that based off of you see these childhood stars and they say, oh, it's because of the money. They didn't know how to act because of the money they got and where they came from. These kids were abused. You can just tell, like, there's mental distortions going on as they got older, and they do this wacky shit. They walk around like they're half nuts because the way they dress, the way they appear, the way they look, the way they talk, the way they conduct themselves, their posture, everything about them is not normal. And it's not that it's the fame end of it. It's because, I mean, take somebody like Justin Timberlake. I mean, the guy, you don't hear much out of him. He's clean cut. He's got a family, and, you know, he's normal. Then you take these other ones and like, they're just walking around like whack jobs. Right. And which means they're victims of something. Something is making them act like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. A lot of them later in life come forward and say what happened. I think Corey Feldman is one of them.
Corey Feldman, yes.
Wasn't he in like the Goonies or something back in the day?
Yeah, in the Goonies. He's in one of my favorite movies, The Burbs, with Tom Hanks. But I heard Tom Hanks was a fucking weirdo. I heard he was into some weird shit. He has like 2 black eyes, and he's got Oprah and somebody else, and he's holding a sign with a black eye, like all this pizza shit, and it's all weird. They're like different. They're a different breed. Yeah. They're fucking weirdos, man. We're from New York. We wouldn't mend with. We wouldn't get along with. They're very pompous people with their nose stuck up in the air, and you know.
Yeah, I lived out in California before.
He's around them now since he's been out. You can tell, Bill. You look like a rough and tough guy. You did time. You know the people in Hollywood. They got their noses up in the air. And they don't like people like the rough and tough, I'd say, like us. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Bill, people talk about the mob and stuff, and that's one thing that I can't stand is I want to make it clear, like, I have no mob affiliation. You know, I know people that were in the life through networking and stuff like that, but I'm not in the life, and I'm not my family's not in the life. I'll make that clear to everybody. I'm not no fake gangster. The thing is, I mean, I have a past, but it has nothing to do with that. People always want to, like, you know, talk ill about the mob. And we were talking earlier about how people just think they can walk around without consequence. But I'll tell you, I mean, you're from Brooklyn, and Ant, you're from Long Island. Like, when the 5 boroughs were ran heavily by the mob, the neighborhoods were a lot safer.
Yeah, they were.
People wouldn't fuck around in the neighborhoods when, you know, the mob ran the show, because they knew it came with consequence. And that's what the society lacks right now, is consequence consequence to action. You speak and you want to be slick, expect something in return. But they hate the law, but they want to be protected by the law. I don't understand it.
Right. It's just, listen, Bill, I commend you for doing your 18 years, man, and coming out and getting busy and doing your job, man. And I can't wait to see your book. I'm going to be buying a copy, and I can't wait for a good read. I'm going to buy my doctor one, too. He's going to be interested.
I've got my show now also on Official William Steele on YouTube. You guys, please like, subscribe. You know how it goes. I'm trying to get it up. But I just say that if anybody's heading down the road that we've already been through, man, to take a look at us and years of lost time, misery, lost family members, it's not worth it. It's just not worth it. The most important thing that should matter to you is, in my opinion, the relationship with your creator and your family. And everything else will flow smooth from there. The alternative is this. I get out of prison, I'm stuck living with people I don't know. You guys haven't seen the show yet, but this is Screen Use in Inmate to Roommate, my new reality show. What does that say?
Bill's house rules. No drinking or drugs, no smoking, no strip clubs or bars, no woman overnight guests, no R-rated movies, no pornography, no profanity. Wow, no taking the Lord's name in vain. Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
Look for a job. That's a lot of rules there.
Right. So, you know what? I get out. I go to these people's house. This is on the wall. This is on the wall. They wanted me to comply with that, go to their church, pay tithes to their church. I said, please drive me to this other church. I found a nice church that I'd like to go to. It was all about other people's rules. So if you want to go to prison, jail, live by other people's rules, or come out, your family's turned their back on you, or, God forbid, passed away, and then you're stuck living with people who have rules that are like bizarre compared to how you're
thankful for what you have.
I'm not looking to get high anymore or do anything illegal. But I'm looking, I had a list of R-rated movies I really wanted to watch, and I was not allowed to watch them there. I was not allowed to put meat in the refrigerator.
No, that's not right.
I had to eat vegetarian freaking lasagna, and I'm from Brooklyn. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Where's the
sausage? We're not doing that, Bill. No way.
So if you want to live under somebody else's rules, keep doing what you're doing. Keep getting high, keep drinking, and keep stealing and scheming and all this.
Exactly, man. I never knew that was even a thing. When you get out of jail, you got to live by somebody else's rules. You got, like you just said, enjoy your family. You have your freedom. You can do whatever you want. Just don't get in trouble.
Yep. Hey, if anybody wants to see the show, right? So A&E has it on their station, like I said, Thursday, 10 o'clock Eastern time. Also, it's on the app, streaming. Also, they put it out now. They unlocked a bunch of the original episodes from a few weeks ago. I think this episode is episode 1, and you'll see this on the wall. And you go to play.aetv.com, and you find Inmate to Roommate, and they show you all the unlocked episodes. So
wow.
If you don't have A&E and you want to see it, check it out. and then we'll get back and we'll do some more interviews. Maybe you guys can come on my show or whatever. Because
we'd love to.
I'm all about stories of redemption, change lives, and helping people. So,
Bill, we'd love to, man. I'm looking forward to working with you. You seem like a really nice guy, down to earth.
Appreciate it.
You're a Brooklyn guy, man.
Us East Coast guys got to stick together, you know?
That's right.
Yeah, there's a lot of haters that would love to see us fail, especially right now that I've got a successful book, successful show, and I don't take it for granted, man. I say that to my fans right now. You know, look you right in the eye. I love my fans. I'm like flattered, and I'm old enough where I'm not going to take this for granted. I'm super grateful. Thank you for supporting me and my new life post incarceration. 18 years is a long time. So.
It takes like things like that, like myself and like you and Anthony, like. You got to hit rock bottom to understand how hard it is to get back to the top. And it's little things like that that some people take for granted, but like us, we appreciate. Like when I'm in the middle of the night and I get up to use the bathroom or get a drink of water or whatever, and I see on my phone, Instagram, Facebook, this person's following you, this person added you as a friend. And, like I'll literally personally inbox everybody and just say, like, thank you for the follow, or thank you for the like, or, like it's little things like that it goes a long way. Like you got to give appreciation to get appreciation. And I feel as though that when you hit rock bottom, you appreciate more things, the smaller things you focus on in life after they're taken away from you. Like I grew up, you know, at one point in my life, my family was pretty wealthy and like we used to go out for dinner all the time. When I hit rock bottom 5 years ago, it was a treat to take me and a couple people I knew out to dinner. Like I learned to start appreciating little things like, hey, we're out for dinner. Like that's not like just a common thing anymore. It's actually, you know, a luxury. Driving a nicer, it's the little things, you know, once they get taken away from you, you don't realize how good they are until you get them back.
There's not a day right now that I don't go outside the house. Even I've been out just over a year that I don't look at the blue sky and the breeze and driving my car down the road. I'm like, man, this is freaking great, man. I'm not screwing this up ever again.
Yeah.
You know? So
on your own terms and conditions, somebody's not telling you when you got to get up for head count. You know, the big alarms going off in the middle of the prison, like, you know, all that stuff is just taken for granted. Like being able to live on your own terms and conditions. And, you know, I have to use that loosely because like some people run with it, especially people in early stages of addiction. You got to watch how much you live under your own terms and conditions. Because some people can't handle that. But like you said, when you get your freedom stripped away from you and you get privileges taken away from you, it's the little things like, hey, I feel like going out for a breath of fresh air. I want to go outside. So you open your back door and you get a breath of fresh air. Or, hey, I want to go to the grocery store. I want to make something good tonight for dinner. So you're just, you know, breezing through the aisles and like, hey, I didn't know that's new. That just came out. Like, and you're like taking your time at the grocery store. Like that's actually a luxury.
Let me tell you something. I still go to a big store and I get really disoriented. Like it's too much. And you have to leave the store and go home because there's just too much selection. Too much wide open spaces. I was in solitary after I escaped from prison for like 4 years in 2 different states. So not only going through that, but then COVID hit a few years later. And then we went to lockdown for almost, you know, over a year on and off because, you know, you couldn't leave the pod or the unit and you were in your cell almost all day long. And everybody was like miserable and they're feeding you eggs for every meal, you know, claiming there was food shortages and all that. But so, yeah, I'm so grateful to be I go to a supermarket and I say, I want to bring about $2,000 and buy like everything I want in one trip, you know, because I buy stuff, man, like intending to eat it, but I'm also intending to lose weight.
Yeah. I'm on the same road.
Yeah. It's not working because I just so much I missed out on. So
I know.
May I ask, what do you guys do now? Like professionally? Cause like I said, we just meeting recently, so I don't know a lot about you guys. What do you do?
Scott, I own a clothing company. It's called topclassmafia.com. And
Okay.
I have TikTok. I got a little under 500,000 followers on there. So I network on there. And that's pretty much, I do a lot of advertising.
Topclassmafia.com?
Topclassmafia.com.
Is that how you're found on TikTok? I'll check you out. I'll follow you.
Yeah. Well, on TikTok, it is Ant is tatted up.
I'll tell you what. After this, have Scotty send me your information.
Yeah,
I'll get in touch with you as well.
Bill, thanks.
Scott, I think you're involved with cars or something, aren't you?
Oh yeah, I just started recently. Well, I was a CDL tractor trailer driver, and then as of recently, I'm an auto salesman, and I'm doing pretty good with it. I sold like 4 cars in 5 days. They're pretty impressed.
Okay,
so that's negotiation skills. You know what I mean?
That's what I say in the series. Is one of my lines is the next morning at breakfast table. I'm like, really? The room? You know, am I being pranked? And I'm like, because where I'm from, like everything's negotiable, right? You know, and I got crickets from these people. Like, you know, what's negotiation? Our way, our church, or leave. You know, so.
And you got out of there quick.
I can't say all that, but I just say I can't give away any spoilers. But you know, I'm still dealing with these people, so I have to.
Hard.
Yeah, I mean that's just it. Like, you know, one more thing to touch on before we wrap it up in a couple minutes. You know, that's another thing too, is like everybody's always on the fast track for, like, you know, wanting to fast track themselves, instant gratification, and you know, being in positions, you know, like you, Bill. You know, I don't know exactly your list of charges and stuff like that, but like I'm sure you spoke with other fellow people that were involved with high-end felonies and stuff and thinking their life's over. And, you know, like there's so many things out there right now. Like I went and got my CDL. The guy I went and got my CDL, there was like 12 people in the class when I started. The one guy's talking to me. I'm shooting the shit with him. Here, he just flew up from Texas up to Pennsylvania to get his CDL. He moved up this way because he wanted to start a new life. He's like, I go, what did you do before this? He's like, oh, I just got out of prison. I go, how much time did you do? He goes, 25 years. I go, the hell did you do? He's like, I got in a bar fight in Texas and I killed somebody. And then, you know, starting his life over, he went and got his CDL and, you know, he went out and he was telling me like he was buying his own truck and like didn't give up on himself. Same thing, like, and that's like a 6-month course. You don't got to go back to school for 4, 6, 8 years in order to make something out of yourself to start over. They have these boot camps now that you go right online from your house. You can learn how to do coding for like computers and stuff. 6 months, there's jobs out there for $80,000 to $100,000. You can work from your house.
Yeah, you could. I think you could do a lot better doing your own thing, being your own boss, doing, you know, like what I'm doing, what you guys are basically doing, and not having to listen to people who think they're better than you, telling you what to do all day long. I went through 18 years of that in prison. You know, I went through that with, you know, with other people, you know, and I was always been independent. I've done my crimes alone, you know, 99% of them been alone. And so I'll do this alone, and I'm willing to help people. And I appreciate the people that reach out to me to help me understand things, you know, like Hollywood Wade and Stax and Adrian, you know, all these guys that have these true crime podcasts. They helped me put this together. And the second you explain something to me, I have it. That's it. My girl's really good too, but you know, I'm figuring this out real quick because I want to put on a show worthy of what I'm representing, which is a new life, and my guests deserve, you know, quality, and I'm trying to bring that to them, you know.
Absolutely.
I think you're sending a good message, Bill. I think you're doing a great thing. Just like us, you know, like we get a little out of hand sometimes, me and Ant, when we get going and we start cursing and we start, you know, talking about getting violent and stuff like that. And you know, like you say, it's not to glamorize, it's not to like, you know, promote that, like, oh, you're a tough guy, or oh, you're this, you're that, or all this other stuff. But like, we all have the same mission, and that's at the end of the day, nobody wants to listen to a podcast that is so just dry, right to the point about sobriety or making a change in your life. You got to make it a little entertaining. You got to mix it up. You got to have some humor in it. But at the end of the day, our goals are all the same, including you, Bill, is we want to get a message across. Every episode, we want to touch on something. And, you know, I think we touched on a lot of different topics tonight about
it was good.
Starting over, not giving up. There's plenty of opportunity out there. You just got to be willing to work for it. And, you know, as I always say, you know, I said this so many times on different podcasts, you know, for those out there that, you know, want that success, the only time you're ever going to reach success before work, and the only time you're going to see it, is in the dictionary. Right. That's the only time success comes before work. And those people that think that they're going to just hit the lottery one day, you got to be willing to work. You got to be patient. And like you said, Bill, the biggest thing that sets in my mind is people, places, and things change. You hang out with bottom of the barrel people. You hang out, you know, you're in the middle of the day. You're hanging out in a corner bar at noon. You're getting blacked out drunk. You're not going to, chances are you're really not going to make nothing out of yourself. You know, you start hanging out with people that have the same aspirations and the same goals and mindset as you. You surround yourself with positivity, you're going to get positive results. And that's just all there is to it.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. You know, that's what I decided to get. I have some mentors now that are like really like old school, like an attorney, one of the top attorneys in the country, Peter Tickton. Peter Tickton is right now representing Donald Trump. He's a friend of Donald Trump's. You know, he's a gentleman and a scholar, man. And so he's down in South Florida. Tom Madden. Who else? Gary Greenberg, editor-in-chief of the, you know, one of the top editors of the National Enquirer. He's also a journalist and for AARP and other magazines. So shout out to all them guys. So I decided, you know, just to reach out to positive people. And in prison, people say, oh, did you get high in prison? No, actually I didn't, because I made up my mind to change, because it wasn't my first bid. And this one was like, you know, I got slammed for nothing. You know, I got a lot of time for nothing, but it was my record. It was my overall record.
Yeah.
So the judge was like, you know, we don't care, you know, blah, 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 all the potential, all the empty promises, bam, it slams me. So I made up my mind to take college courses and start writing and helping people. I became a law clerk. And I had for friends or associates in prison from every walk of life, pretty much. And I look at it like this: I had a cocaine problem. Most of these guys knew that. So if they ever offered me that or anything, illegal drug in prison, I'd say no, and I would take them aside. I said, look, here's a quick synopsis of my life. It's been really destroyed because of cocaine. When it comes right down to my poor choices. So, if you offered to me once, okay, you didn't know that, so we're cool. You offered to me a second time, you need to stay away from me because you don't care if I live or die. You don't care. You don't care if I ever get back to my family. So I would cut people off if they came back around a second time. I'd give them a chance one time. I'd try to help them, and I'd still be cool with them. But if they kept, hey, New York, my nickname was New York. Hey, New York, you want to do this? No, I told you. I'm reading
Leave me alone.
I'm reading a book. I'm working on my book. I'm writing a screenplay. Leave me alone.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure
Bill,
out.
I look up to you, brother. I definitely look up to you. And I commend you for getting out and doing all the things you're doing and the moves you're making. I think you're doing great.
Yep.
And if you ever need anyone, if you ever need any extras, me and Scotty are ready to go, man. We got the Bill.
I like to draw on people for their expertise. It seems like you know how to build your numbers up on this. What do you say, 500,000 followers?
Yeah, I got 473.5 thousand.
Holy crap.
On my TikTok.
Listen, Adrian interviewed me about the Maxwell book, right? Adrian from Invest in Yourself, about 4 weeks ago. He for his YouTube and his podcast, whatever, right?
Yeah.
He put I think it was like a 1 minute clip of something I said about my book on TikTok, and within 3 days, he had like 2.5 million views.
Wow.
I'm like, man, teach me that because
you could make it into a sound.
I'm trying to sell books and earn an honest living, and for the life of me, I don't even know how to answer a message on TikTok or
Bill, if you need any help.
Instagram. Like, I don't know how to respond to people. I'm like, there's I got 95 messages sitting there, and I'm like, what does this one mean? What's that category? I don't even know how to properly respond to people. And I do it here and there, but it's hit and miss. And if somebody say, hey, I'd like to have it on my show. And I'm like, sure, yeah, let's hook up. And then I'll lose that person in the mix.
Yeah. Bill, if you ever want to advertise on my page, Scott will give you my TikTok page and I'll put you on there, man. We'll advertise your book on there.
All right, we'll figure it out.
We'll make a video, yeah.
Yeah, and if you guys want to come on my show, because there's going to be multiple channels, streams like True Crime, 1 day a week, my stuff, 5 days a week interviewing other people, and I'm going to do a super chat 4-hour show every Friday where people can call in if they want to donate to support my new life, what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Because it's better than going out, looking for diamonds and shit to steal, I mean, I still love the jewelry, man, but
I love jewelry too.
It's better that you buy it the right way, and you can still find deals because I know how to buy it right. So you can still find deals and then feel comfortable that nobody's going to say, wait a minute, that's mine. That happened to me with a diamond-encrusted Rolex I had one time. A guy recognized it as being
Jesus. That is like slim to none.
He was a bartender on a yacht. He recognized it from exactly the person I stole it from 2 years later. I should have never been wearing it. But anyway, so, when you're doing the right thing, you don't have to worry about somebody spotting their jewelry on your neck. Your head.
Well, Bill, it's been real, man. Listen, if you need any help on TikTok, I'm your man. Tell Scott, and we'll definitely come on your show. It would be great.
Yeah, thank you, Bill, for the offer, and I'd love to. And guys, thank you for coming out tonight. I want to thank everybody. Make sure you're hitting subscribe. It takes 2 seconds to click that button. We just love to see who's supporting us. We appreciate all of our viewers, and we just hope people got something out of this segment. We talked about various discussions, topics of discussion, and it was a very good segment. I'm happy the way it went. Bill, I was happy to meet you a couple of days ago.
Great to meet you, man.
Right, guys,
glad to be with you here today, and hope to be long-term acquaintance of you,
All right.
Yes, definitely.
My stuff's going to be in the description after we guys put this up, so please go to the description, support. Look, I'm also on Facebook under Official William Steele and YouTube Official William Steele, so hopefully you guys can, send me a friend request or something tonight. And,
without a doubt.
Yep, Official William Steele. You'll see me. It says, that I'm on Inmate to Roommate, blah, blah, blah. So.
Okay. All right, Scott. Thanks. Bill, it was a pleasure to meet you. I'm looking forward to the future, brother. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep it up. You're doing great.
Shout out to Cyril DiPaggio, Mob King movie. He's the one that introduced us the other day. So shout out to Cyril.
Yeah,
Cyril's our guy, man. Cyril's the good dude, man. I wish him lots of success. I think his movie's going to be a huge success, blow up. I mean, we got the luxury to see it before it's even released. People have no idea he's going to make mob movie history. I really think it's going to be great.
I told my girl,
I
said, I'm not just saying that because I got to know the guy. I'm saying that because it's actually a really good movie.
Really good.
Wait till it comes out.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Man, I'd love to show it to you, but we had to sign contracts.
Yeah. No, I can't wait till it comes out. I'm gonna be. I think I'm gonna love it.
Yeah. I'm trying to get
All right, fellas. Well, it's been real.
Good night.
Real, keep in touch.
Guys.
And I'll
Take
talk to you
care.
soon. Have a good night,
All right.
everybody.